AITA for asking my niece if she knows what she's talking about? My sister has two kids, John 15 and Annie 16. They're complete opposites. John's more generic? Pretty much what you think of when you think 15-year-old boy that does sports. Annie's more on the doesn't fit inside, or at least that's what she thinks. Anyways, my sister called me last night and asked if I could take John for a couple nights. I said of course and asked why, and she told me that Annie crossed a line. Now, John's report card from last year wasn't very good. He was pretty embarrassed by it, but there was an underlying reason. He goes into these depression slumps often, and yeah, my sister and her husband are talking to professionals, but it's taking a very long time to get somewhere. Annie is aware of this and hasn't really expressed any concern, but we figured she just doesn't get the seriousness of it. Well, apparently she took pictures of John's report card and posted it on her Snap story. Most people didn't care, but a select few, Annie's best friends, tried to make it this big thing. John and Annie have each other blocked, but John's friends texted him about it and John got really upset. They had a massive fight and Annie said some horrible things about how he's just an idiot that's faking his slumps. She said things like, "I'm the one that mom and dad should care about, not your privileged butt." It was overall a very bad fight and my sister wants to get to the bottom of Annie's comments, but she also doesn't want to subject John to Annie any longer. So I went to pick John up, and while I was talking to my sister about the next few nights, Annie came out of her bedroom yelling at me and asking me if I'm taking John's side too. I didn't say anything which upset her even more, and she said, "I need someone on my side too. You're all taking his side because he's pretending to have depression, and I assumed you would be smarter about this considering how intelligent you are, but you're also just another victim of misogyny." My sister seemed to be at a loss for words, and I just went, "Do you even know what you're talking about?" This struck a nerve in Annie, and she was like, "Of course I flipping do, I'm a woman. I've been dealing with misogyny all my life, and you questioning me like this just proves that you're just like all the other women in this goddamn country. You're a woman, how dare you question my experience," or whatever else she said. She was using big words throughout, and honestly she does have a point, but it doesn't apply in this situation, in my opinion. Either way, she actually made a TikTok about how her family is misogynistic etc. and used my "do you even know what you're talking about" thing as her main example, and though this account is private, she has a couple hundred followers that seem horrified by what I said. I know this because Annie has been sending me screenshots of these comments. What do you think? Edit, just wanted to clarify that niece is not and was not being neglected because of John. My sister doesn't favor John, and no one expects my niece to drop everything for her brother. I don't think people understand, but John did need extra attention for a while because his mental state was so unstable and he was in hospital. But Annie was never neglected. After he got out of the danger zone, a parent was always at home. They even had multiple heart-to-hearts with Annie about how she felt etc. No one's perfect, and I'm not saying we didn't make mistakes, but my sister's doing her best for both of her kids during this very difficult time. Please don't make assumptions about how bad of a mother my sister is because she isn't a bad mom. Info: some people are confused about the hospital stay. My nephew didn't eat for a couple days, which ultimately led to hospitalization and us finding out that he has a mental illness. My niece was left alone for a week, which was the danger zone I'm referring to. I stayed with her for most of this week. She is completely capable of being alone and has basic life skills, but I was there because of what the situation was like. Nephew came home sometime later and they are currently looking for professionals to help further his treatment. I hope that explains some things. I had no idea this post would reach so many people, so I just wrote this post offhandedly without putting too much thought into it. My apologies. Edit 2, thought this was a given, but don't use this post as an excuse to crap on feminism and women's rights. I actually do agree with my niece about various things, which is why she called me intelligent and was so shocked I wasn't on her side. I would call myself a feminist, and I think that young women, especially girls my niece's age, aren't taken seriously because of their age, which is wrong. I don't like it, and I think every girl regardless of anything needs to heard. I was simply wondering if what I said was harmful. Two things can exist at once. My niece isn't applying the feminist idea in the right way, but she isn't wrong about feminism in general.